Welcome to our next part of our lectures on the Renaissance. This part deals with the artist Raphael. In 1508, the Pope called on Raphael, then 25 years old, to decorate his private library in the Vatican, now known as the Stanza della Segnatura. Because this was his first great commission, Raphael chose a great humanistic subject. Raphael decided to sum up all learning. Each of the four walls would represent one discipline: theology, law, literature, and philosophy. While decorating these walls, he managed to see Michelangelo's unfinished work on the Sistine ceiling. Legend tells us that he bribed the guards to let him see the ceiling while Michelangelo was away. He slipped into the chapel, climbed up the scaffolding, and was stunned by the masterpiece. Raphael immediately realized that his pictures in the library seemed backward compared to Michelangelo's, and quickly redesigned and repainted all of his pictures. The School of Athens, painted in 1509 through 1511, is the most famous of the stanza. It is a picture of the heavenly world of knowledge, the Elysian or delightful fields spoken of the Greek poets. We see the greatest philosophers of the classical period in discussion, thinking, teaching, and arguing. In the center is Plato, pointing upward to the ideal, and Aristotle pointing downward to reality. On the lower left, Pythagoras, a Greek philosopher and mathematician, is writing. At right, Euclid, the Greek founder of geometry, is surrounded by many students. Preparatory sketches were always important for Raphael, but he never made more than he did for this project. The School of Athens is known for its perfect composition and perspective. Unity is achieved by the repetition of arched elliptical shapes throughout. Even the figures form a large ellipse. As in Leonardo's The Last Supper, the vanishing point is placed at the center of attention, Plato and Aristotle. Raphael creates a harmonious composition of freely moving figures, something artists have admired in his work throughout the centuries. The School of Athens shows Raphael's formal mathematical side, but his Madonna della Sedia, painted in 1510 to 1512, shows his sweet and loving side. Over the centuries, Raphael's Madonna della Sedia had been seen as artistic perfection. As a modern critic said, this picture would be recognized as a masterpiece even if it were found dusty and unlabeled in an attic. It is in a circular format called a tondo, which means simple in Italian, yet it is probably the most difficult form for a painting compositionally because of a tendency to seem unbalanced and rolling. Raphael secured the scene by providing the strong vertical of the chair post that is merely a technical issue. The picture's lasting frame depends on the warmth, softness, and pride of Mary as she cuddles with the wriggling infant Jesus. One cannot imagine a sweeter expression of the love of a mother for her child. Those who lived at the peak of the Renaissance believed the power of the mind made anything possible. The world seemed good and understandable. Raphael, one of the great masters of the Renaissance, managed to achieve its highest goals: beauty, proportion, grace, and a sense of human virtue. The Renaissance in Venice. In the medieval period, bright colors were used for decorative and symbolic purposes. Artists were not concerned with reproducing actual colors or even realistic forms. Partly in reaction to that art, the Florentines of the Renaissance were most interested in drawing issues, such as the realistic depictions of form. Perspective and composition were the things that fascinated them. Color was a secondary interest. However, color was not mere adornment of the artists of Venice, but central to their work, giving energy and movement to their pictures. The greatest colorist and painter of the Venetian Renaissance was Botticello, or Titian. Unlike the geniuses of Florence and Rome, Titian's sole role was painting. He was not an architect or a scientist. He mastered the medium with a single mindedness that was unique for this time. He developed new techniques, for example, impasto, where thick layers of paint are built up for added richness. Titian would vary the texture of the paint itself, sometimes scratching into it with his fingers. His surfaces are full of energy. Sensuality became the hallmark of Venetian painting, and the Venus of Urbino probably epitomizes the Venetian love of sensual delight better than any other work. Here is Titian's ideal beauty, and she is very different from Raphael's or Leonardo's. She is an openly sexual woman, lying on a cool sheet on a hot day. The purpose of the picture is not to give moral or religious instruction, but to give pleasure. Notice how Titian uses colors as a compositional element. The large red pillow, the hue is known as either Venetian or Titian red today, in the foreground is balanced by the red skirt in the background. The white shapes of the pillow and arm form triangles that lead into the background. Titian had created a new type of image, one that would be borrowed by artists for centuries. Romantics, classicists, realists, and impressionists would all choose to continue the tradition of the reclining nude. And that is it for this lecture. Thank you.